And we begin tonight with a Thanksgiving storm, which made its presence felt today up north. Washington State Police say 60 to 70 cars were involved in a series of crashes. This on I-90 near Spokane. The reason? Obvious. Icy roads. Coming up in minutes, our Misty Inglet gives us a broad look at the region's roadways, with many of you traveling to Grandma's house for Thanksgiving. But we begin in the Weather Center, and Rick, the outlook isn't bad in the valley, not the case elsewhere. And what the heck is that behind you?
Snow coming down. This is in the mountains near Klamath Falls, Oregon. This is my concern about the mountains even here in Idaho, when you've got the wind and some snow coming down. Where's the road through here? Okay, so I just want to alert you and say you got to be really careful with this storm system that's pushing through. We'll talk more about snow amounts in just a moment. But if you look at this storm, it's moving in right here towards southern Oregon, northern California. And it is just, look at around San Francisco. They are getting heavy rain. They're getting heavy snow in the mountains there. This is coming up from the southwest. Now, we do have snow in here. It's just that we don't have a radar site in central Oregon. So we lose it from the western section, and then Idaho, Boise picks it up about 120 miles an hour. And you'll notice that it's coming up here to our west, and it's coming up here to the Y's and stopping and wrapping around us. That's the rain shadow effect. I'll tell you more about that coming up in our weather forecast. Winds are out of the southeast, about 23 miles an hour. Here are our gusts. We've been close to 40 miles an hour. I was on Facebook Live a little while ago. Everybody was telling me how the wind's howling right now in some locations here throughout the area, and it's the worst is to come. Between 11 tonight to 4 o'clock in the morning, I would estimate around midnight or so, or a little after. These are your wind gusts. Caldwell 46, Boise at 52, Mountain Home 55 mile an hour wind gusts. That's possible. Twin Falls at 26. Kind of surprised here at Ontario with 34 mile an hour wind gusts, but you can see how strong they are. And so this is going to be mainly overnight. So anything, you know, that you need to organize outside because of these strong winds, you might want to do that before you go to bed. Now, I'll be back and talk more about the snow for tomorrow in our forecast.
There goes the rest of the leaves off the tree. Snow, wet roads, high winds. Different parts of the state could see a variety of weather issues this week as those winter storms, as Rick just mentioned, roll in from the west. Our Misty Inglet spoke with the Idaho Transportation Department today to hear what they have planned for the storm. She also breaks down the current road conditions all across the region, no matter what direction you're headed. Misty?
Yeah, so ITD does expect this storm, of course, to be widespread, as you just heard, and you can see that that is the case by their current 511 road reports. These little lightning bolt icons show all of the multiple major highways and interstates all across Idaho that have active alerts for tomorrow and Thursday. Now, taking a look at some specific roads here, we have a couple of high wind warnings in effect in northern Idaho. One is on I-90 from Post Falls to Coeur d'Alene, also over into Washington, as we heard there, and then on US 95 near Bonners Ferry as well. Taking a look at some winter storm warnings. Now, this means areas under alert that are expected to see anywhere from 3 inches up to possibly a foot of snow. So there are 2 areas on I-15 to watch out for. One is from the Utah state line to the Malad Summit. The other is from Du Bois to the Montana state line. And these areas do include the Wood River Valley and Island Park, which again are expected to see that heavier end of the snowfall. And taking a look on Idaho 75 from about Bellevue to the Ketchum area is another one to be alert for, and this includes Galena Summit, which is forecast for up to a possible 20 inches of snow. Now, some roads, ITD is already reporting to have some patchy, icy conditions along the route. That includes Idaho 55 in areas near Donnelly, New Meadows, and Horseshoe Bend, and along Idaho 75 from Sun Valley to Stanley and from Stanley over to Clayton, seeing some patchy ice as well. On US 93, we've got Chalice to Salmon and then up to the Montana border. And then US 95, some of those similar areas, Cambridge, Council, New Meadows, and Riggin, seeing that as well. And there are a couple of specific areas, because they're most popular, most traveled, that ITD crews will be keeping a close eye on this week.
Down here in the city, you can take a look at the Flying Y. Those are really big, tall bridge structures because you can get wind on both sides, above and below the bridge. They can freeze up pretty quickly. So our crews in that area definitely focus there. On Highway 16 between here and Emmett, there's a hill called Freeze Out Hill, and it earns that name. It's an area that the crews tell me it has its own weather system, so they keep an eye on that carefully. And the same is true with the Horseshoe Bend Hill.
Now, one important driving reminder from ITD for this week is you're, of course, going to see a lot of snow plows out and about with this storm. Make sure you stay at least 100 feet behind them and do not pass them on the right-hand side. Now, a lot of you do also travel to Oregon, I know as well, so some things to watch out for because the storm is already hitting that area. I-84 right now is showing pretty clear conditions. There's some light snowfall across it, but none of those advisories like we just talked about for Idaho. However, the Oregon Department of Transportation does show some road closures around Redmond and Bend, and the most dangerous stretch right now is the southern I-5 corridor, where travel is not advised at all by officials right now because multiple stretches are closed because of blizzard and whiteout conditions. Oregon State Police say there have even been downed trees and a rock fall in that area. So before you head out for your Thanksgiving travel, you can make sure you check both ITD and ODOT's websites for all of those up-to-date road reports. Mark?
Yeah, and you can also obviously download the KTPB
Absolutely.
app for the road and weather conditions no matter where you are going. Misty, good information. Thank you.